I am so motivated now to take my business to the next level. I'm going to be showing up on content, saying exactly what I want to fucking say. Welcome back to the Corey Boutwell podcast, guys. And this podcast is special. It's dear to my heart and it's so damn hectic. How does Greek myth help you create content? So we all know this is a crazy fact right now because this is going to be one of the most valuable podcasts you listen to so far on the Corey Boutwell podcast. So tune in. When it comes to the world at the moment, there is, in terms of people buying in general, it's something along the lines, LinkedIn did a study and it was like 80% of buyers buy now from personal brand only. So this is why people are running ads and you can see people having like, oh, this is me, I'm the creator of this brand, whatever it is. And then like, come buy from me. Like, oh, I like that person. It's something along the lines of like, Elon Musk has like 80 million Twitter followers and then Tesla has like 10, right? Same thing with Richard Branson and Virgin. So people care more about the personal brand than the company itself. So it depends on what you want in life, because if you want to be someone who is rich behind the scenes, then you can definitely do that and you want to be focusing not on personal brand. However, we're living in a world right now where personal brand is so critically important. And if you listen to the book Bronze Age Mindset and you're a man and you want to be an alpha and you want to be, the strongest man possible for your family, protector and provider, we are living in like the gold rush of whatever it was in the 1920s or whatever the hell the gold rush actually was, 1800s or something. But where it's all coming now in the form of digitalism, and your personal footprint and stamp on your brand digitally is so critically important. Your grandchildren will be doing assignments on you. They'll be like researching everything that you've created. And it's like, you can really solidify who you are and make impact. Eventually one day we're going to be forgotten. However, in the meantime, for all the people that we can affect after we've gone, you can still have a crazy lasting effect by how much content you create. And in the book, Bronze Age Mindset, this is like a masculinity book, right? This helps you become the strongest man possible. There's a lot of Nietzsche philosophy, the Bronze Age Roman and Greek philosophy, and how strong and powerful those men were in their mindset. And it's a beautifully written book. And at the end of it, it's like the secret to, escaping the matrix, the secret to getting out of bad times, whatever it is, all comes down to creating content, and create as much content as you can, right? Create as much content as you possibly can, especially in the modern world. And if you're listening to this and you want a job, you want to quit your job or you want to scale your business, right? Because I know plumbers, for example, who all their business strategy is the same as mine. It's all through the DMs, right? So Set the Standard, we do a shitload of DMs. And essentially what happens is the amount of content that you create helps people get connected to you. You're having impact, immediate impact. It is a lot harder to create impact behind the scenes unless you're analytical minded and you like systems and structures and you don't like being in front of people. That's a small minority of people. It's a lot easier to pick up a camera, talk to it, and immediately, boom, 300 people see your face. Boom, 50,000 people watch a reel. Boom, 11 million people watch a reel. That's 11 million people that have seen your face, right? Just by one post. Bang, you can put it up there. Like, how hard it is to go like out in the street and talk to 200 people? Nuts. You talk to 200 people, one post, right? I just want to put this into context for you guys. And I'm going to get into how Greek myth supports this, which is absolutely insane. I've got some quotes here and some bangers. So it's not only creating content. I believe creating content helps you become the best version of yourself. And the way you set the standard in gym, and the way you set the standard in your relationship, and the way you set the standard in business, and the way you set the standard in content are also critically important, especially if you want to be the best version of yourself, especially. And it's just it's a really important thing that we can take advantage of. Now, I think what is obviously really important is picking your platform. Like, I like podcasting, it's like my favorite, but from now, like, the standards of the modern world are just so much higher than what they used to be, in my personal opinion. It's so much higher. Like, good is good, right? But you can go get a job, you can be jacked, you can have a partner and like do well in business, and it's still not good enough, right? Our standards are so much higher. So it's like, cool, we need to do more. And I'm up for the challenge. Are you guys? Are you up for the challenge? I want to extract the best version of myself. I don't want to be mediocre. I want to be absolutely crushing it. And this is what we got to do. So let's get into it. Listen to the end, because this is going to be absolutely mind-boggling to how your psychology relates to Greek myth and how it all relates to creating content, becoming the best version of yourself. Let's get into it, guys. Powerful podcast. So the dragon fight in the Greek myth is the struggle for independence. And essentially what is meant by that is in Greek myth, it talks about slaying the dragon. When Theseus goes and slays the Minotaur, when there is some sort of, it's a placeholder for the dark night of the soul, the dragon fight. I have a dragon inside myself. And the dragon fight is the Greek myth struggle for independence, right? So this is all about becoming who you are. And I believe that content is this really important, this really beautiful way of figuring out who you really are. Because shame occurs with the who that you try to get everyone to think you are, right? Shame occurs when the who that you think you are, like other people don't believe in that, when you can't convince them, okay? That's when you feel shameful around yourself. So if you create a piece of content and you watch it back and you're not happy or proud of it, are you happy with who you are? Maybe, maybe not. What happens when you go and pull out a camera and you go to talk to it and you feel a bit nervous? You get scared to talk in front of the camera. Is it because you like yourself? Is it because you realize you're not being authentic? Or is there a mask there? I believe that when we look in the mirror and we record something and watch ourselves back, we can't hide from who we really are. And if we're scared or ashamed of who we are, then that means we haven't done the inner work. We are not independent. We are not truly ourselves. Now we can get over that by discipline, consistency, and persistence and just showing up every day, right? You can do that, and that's hard and challenging. Or if you're like me, you can take the internal route and learn more about yourself and learn how your psyche works, psychology work, how myth can tell the stories that are happening inside your mind so that you can express as this powerful, overbearing presence that is unfuckwithable, that literally makes people go, whoa, I want to be around this person. Look at that inspiration and impact that they are having. Like some of the guys who jump into my Set the Standard community, they literally just say, I joined this community so that I could get some of whatever the fuck you're on, Corey. I'm like, good, let's go. Let's like bring on that energy, right? So that's one quote. I think it's very powerful. The hero myth is fulfilled only when the ego identifies with yourself. Oh, I want that one to land for a second. The hero myth is fulfilled when the ego identifies with yourself. So you got two parts, right? If I was going to separate you and your ego is that impulse thing. It's that reactivity. It's that tells you like, fuck this person, don't do that, or you're the best for this. It's that inner voice that you know is trying to influence you to do something, but it's not the real you, and it's done from trying to protect you. And sometimes it's amazing. Sometimes using that inner ego of like, you've got this pain and you need to get to the gym because you're going through a breakup and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna be the fucking best. No one can stop me. Fuck everyone else. Like that, I believe is really healthy. The road of excess leads to the palace of wisdom, guys. So I believe that's healthy to use until you start crossing the line. Like if you start then jumping, like if you're not someone who is competing professionally in bodybuilding and you're taking steroids out of insecurity, that's when you know you've taken the gym thing too far. Fuck, now my test has dropped. I've jumped off the steroids and I'm getting chubby. I'm putting on water weight. My testosterone's jammed and now I feel so embarrassed about this, right? This happens regularly. I talk to guys about this. It happens regularly. And I don't take steroids, by the way, guys, but I see guys that do this. They go way too far. I was happy I get my ego in check and I did not make those decisions. So that is when you know that your ego is starting to become like, it's when that you're aware of where you're at. Like, let's say that steroid thing happened and you go, holy shit, I need to sort myself out because I wasn't in control then. My ego was trying to do this. So I'm going to go on a protocol. I'm not going to take steroids anymore. If you have a bad experience, some people like good. If you enjoy steroids and you do it healthily and you feel really good, keep doing them. Like I'm not telling you not to do them. It's your body. You can do whatever the hell you want to become the best version of you. But let's say you made the decision not to and you do a protocol properly and then you keep going to the gym and you start putting on more muscle than you've ever done before and you feel really great about it, okay? That is when you know like, oh, my ego is myself. Because if you're, for example, taking photos of yourself and you're on steroids, you're like, yeah, I feel really good. And the second you're off steroids and you're taking photos and you're like, fuck, I hate myself. That is a good scenario that your ego's been running the show, right? But if you can do both and you're not afraid of either or of them and you're authentic with it, you've nailed it, right? So that's an extreme example. But in other words, when it realizes that the support of heaven at the moment of death means nothing less than to be begotten by a God and born anew when the personality experiences dying as a simultaneous act of self-reproduction. Holy shit, right? Let's get into that one. So in other words, when it realizes that the support of heaven at the moment of death means nothing less than to be begotten by a God, right? So that means when it realizes the support of heaven at the moment of death. So that's basically like, let's say, for example, I'm just going to keep the steroid train, but it can be anything else, like where you're creating content of yourself, where you think, something's bad's happening. You feel like you're being overwhelmed. You feel like someone's angry at you, or you feel like, why I've got this block, or something's happening, or you can't ask someone for more money and you go, holy shit. And that is the feeling of death is happening. Like my whole life's kind of crumbling down. And that's when you can feel, when you realize, when you become, your ego starts like morphing into who you are. It's like, oh my God, I feel this relief. I feel this abundance of energy. Thank God, right? And essentially means nothing less than to be begotten by a God and born anew, when the personality experiences dying as a simultaneous act of self-reproduction. So this means that we want to be consistently dying. He's talking about an ego death, right? With this Greek myth. This, by the way, all of this stuff comes from the book, The Origins and History of Consciousness. And it's an extremely powerful book. And I've taken quotes out of it. So isn't that so beautiful? So that is like the words taken for an ego death, and us catching it in real time. And it's a beautiful experience. Now, what I'm encouraging you guys to do with this, when it comes to creating content, when it comes to your business and becoming the best version of yourself, is to look for this. It's simply looking for it and making it a habit in your mind. When do I feel shit? When is my ego flaring up? When's this happening? And just being aware that, oh shit, I'm about to have an ego death. Like an ego death is coming for me. And I got to look for this and make sure that I facilitate it, because if I keep resisting, it's going to come and bite me on the bum, and something bad's going to happen. I'm going to feel shit about myself. And how many times I'm going to need a whisper in the ear, a tap on the shoulder, and a boulder to the head before I start changing and becoming a better version of myself. You've got more in the tank. And that's when it come up. Like, think about the content that you create when you got to film yourself, what topic that you want to talk about. When you think, oh, I could never talk about that myself. Holy shit. And you get scared to be vulnerable on camera. It's like, okay, well, there's an ego death coming, because when you truly own yourself, you're not afraid to talk about anything. And that leads into this next quote right here. Zeus, and this is Greek myth, Zeus equals God power, as he is entitled to his word, creator's nucleus, don't have to worry about that, titled to his word, creator's nucleus, schedules self-sabotage by not allowing creative time, chasing money, restricts creation of a wealth machine, routine, prioritize what you love plus health, and do what you need to do. Let me repeat this again. Zeus equals God power, as he is entitled to his word, and schedules self-sabotage by not allowing creative time, by chasing money, restricting the creation of a wealth machine in a routine. So make sure you prioritize what you love plus your health, and do what you need to do, right? So essentially what is meant by this is, what they talk about in Greek myth is that Zeus is completely entitled to his word. So he can't break it. So anytime Zeus in Greek myth makes a promise to a mortal, to another god, he has to follow it the complete way through. He cannot lie. He hardly can twist what he says. If he says he does something or makes a promise, it is unbreakable from a god. Now, what I think is really important is that as he's entitled to his world, people can allow self-sabotage by not allowing creative time. So as humans, we have the ability, as mortals, I believe that we almost have like more power as a god, because we can break our word. We can go back on our promises, but we can do it to ourselves, especially if it's not serving ourselves. Like, for example, let's say if I made a commitment to ballet for the rest of my life and I wasn't enjoying ballet, and it was like, I become obsessed with bodybuilding and creating a business. It's like, well, I need to break that promise to myself that I was going to do that, to do something else. Now, this is not encouraging to break promise. This just means we're not limited by our goals, which is a good thing. Now, we want to be, I encourage to be as integral as possible, right? When we set timeframes and set goals, I think it's so powerful for us to keep it. So it's like, this is the goal that I want to hit, and I'm going to hit that, which is why it's so important choosing your goals. Because if we do not choose the right goals, right, and we choose too much, we can sabotage ourselves by not allowing creative time and just chasing money, right? And that's it. And if we're not chasing something that's more fulfilled in our hearts, and it's not something that is meaningful to us, and it could be like the reason of wealth, but if we're just chasing money, it restricts the creation of a wealth building machine, right? Which is done through a routine. So prioritize what you love and your health, and then do what you need to do, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Next one. The goal of initiation is transformation. The relapse of masculinity regresses to animality and immorality, animalistic savagery, and impulsivity. being impulsive, right? So the goal of initiation is transformation. So if you want to initiate yourself into the best version of yourself, and you want to initiate yourself as to someone who has a personal brand, who uses, the content in a way that serves their life for the better, whether that be finding a partner, whether that be connecting with friends, whether that be building your business, whichever one it is, I believe you got responsibility to share your views and opinions to their highest capacity and have them challenged, and be able to talk about them. Now, the thing is I believe that there is so much projection on social media that in the future, how we use media is going to be a lot more conscious, right? It's going to be a lot more conscious. And I'm really excited for that. Like our children's children are going to be so more conscious of it. I'm not going to say that because that's dumb. On social media, we'll obviously have a whole bunch of people that will. But this is what it looks like. So the goal of initiation is transformation. Who do you want to transform into? The relapse of masculinity. And by the way, women, this is for you as well. So all men and women have masculinity in them, and it is beautiful and it is strong, and it helps us get us to where we need to go. And we all want to use it. And I do believe, right, I'm going to call people out. Women's masculinity is growing, obviously. Men's masculinity, I believe, are coming a little bit more feminine, sort of like the 70s, what happened again, where men got like long hair, started smoking weed, wearing floral shirts. Like nothing wrong with that at all. I think men embracing their femininity is a key way to masculinity. However, at the moment, women are going more masculine, but they've got really high standards for men. And for men who do not do the inner work on themselves or this stuff, they find it extremely difficult to now match and meet the requirements that women need. So it's up to us as men to raise our standards internally. For us, we can keep going into the feminine world of doing whatever and video games and all the rest of it and experience all these emotions. But we aren't as in control of our emotions as women are naturally. So our main goal is the more in touch that we get with our emotions, the stronger we become, the easier it is for us to show up on social media. The easier it is for us to create content that we're passionate about. We can show anger. We can show aggressiveness on social media, on camera, without fucking worrying about what some dickhead is going to say, right? We don't give a shit about that. We're being heroes in challenging our own in bringing our own transformation via content. And if you want to create a personal brand, have people buy into you, doing that is so much more powerful than people who don't. If you watched any of my content, you see me doing anger releases, like shit that we do at our next level retreat is absolutely fucking insane. So the relapse of masculinity regresses into animality, immorality, animalistic savagery, or being impulsive. So this is when you can see that's like, okay, if you want strong masculinity, this is, I think, all men want to obtain this, but the easiest way to obtain it is to gain control of your impulses. And what it looks like is when you're not, is you start becoming more animalistic, making immoral decisions and being like not a savage for good, right? This is when you see guys, when they party and they start getting really aggressive and they start doing stupid shit and, they get so loose that they're just like jumping on tents and doing this stuff. You're guilty. I've done that as well. But that's when you can see that, our masculinity is decreasing and we're becoming more animalistic, right? That's the monkey that's flinging poo at people, gross, right? The more animalistic you are, it's like you're farting in front of your partner and you're doing stupid shit like that, right? And we don't want to be doing that because as men, it's like, how can we, like the best version of ourselves wouldn't be doing those things. And I've had people say to me things like, oh, like people comment on reels and stuff, oh, you're better out than in, and I fight in front of my partner and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, you gross savage. If you were sitting on a plane next to two Victoria's Secret models, would you let one rip? If you sat on a plane and you were sitting next to two Victoria's Secret models, you would not let one rip. So why let one rip in front of your partner, right? So that's what I truly believe. And we want to be like as more of a noble man as possible. That is like the growth, and we can show that on our social media, and that is setting a new standard. The hero suffers as not of the normal struggle for freedom. He is the victim and the representative of the obsolete old order and is forced to bear the burden of it in his own soul. Oh, I hope you guys just listen to that again and again. Fatal compulsion draws the hero towards sacrifice and suffering. Pilgrim and pilgrimage and the way about myself towards myself. The sacrifice to be made may mean sacrificing the old matriarchal world of childhood and the real world of adult. So in Greek myth, this is taught mainly on the story of Gaia and how Zeus becomes born from a child and makes his way into a man and then creates Mount Olympus, saves all of the gods, and then him and Prometheus get into some shit and then basically they create man, right? So essentially what is meant here is by the hero is like the old order in Greek myth was like Gaia and the Titans. Okay, but we have that, right? So we have that in our own life. So your old order could be living at home. Your old order could be believing what is true in university. The old order could be what you see on the news and what you consume. The old order can be your friends, right? And having to separate yourself from your friendship group. And you're forced to bear the burden of it in your own soul, right? Which is because it feels so hard to separate yourself from those, but it's your hero's journey to do that. And I believe how you show up on content, like if you get a phone out and you're in the midst of being a hero and you're talking about things that you're really passionate about, but you feel are going to be judged from other people, then that's not showing up as the best version of yourself, and you are failing as a hero. Oh, I'm so sorry to say that, but it is. And you want to be the main character. You want to have your own hero's journey. You want to be on your own entrepreneur's journey, right? So I hope this is initiating you to go, fucking hell, Corey. I am so motivated now to take my business to the next level. I'm going to be showing up on content, saying exactly what I want to fucking say. And I'm going to be proud of it regardless of what anyone else thinks. And I'm going to do it in a way which is noble and articulate, right? Beautiful. That's my motivation for you for this. Fatal compulsion draws the hero towards sacrifice and suffering. Pilgrim and pilgrimage, which is basically, going on a pilgrimage of adventure. And part of that is separating yourself from the order, where it could be moving countries, could be moving states. It could be creating your own brand. It could be starting a business, whatever that is, that's separating yourself. That's the adventure that you want to go on, which you are drawn towards sacrifice and suffering. And anyone knows, if you've jumped on any entrepreneur's journey or started a business, you go through a period of sacrifice and suffering, right? Full on. And the way about myself towards myself. So any of those journeys, and you know that you want to do it and you go on it, whether it's starting a business, moving, finding a new friendship group, traveling, all of that is you moving towards yourself, right? To really figure out who you are. Have I got what it takes? Am I capable? Am I confident? Like, how can I be more confident? What have I got in the tank? Like, what is in there? What is my potential? And I'm going to go find it, regardless of how shitty I feel, regardless of if I'm overwhelmed, I've got these decisions, my bank account is decreasing, my girl's angry at me. All of this is just a test to help me get to become the best version of myself. And it really is, and become who I am. What skill do I not have right now that I need to have to be a better me? And knowing that my business, my relationships, my relationship, and my health are all standards and indicators to let me know how I'm going in that process. And also how I'm showing up on social media. And the second that you get scared to show up on camera, or you can't talk about something on social media, that is a good indication that, you got to learn something new, which is beautiful. The sacrifice to be made may mean sacrifice in the old matriarchal world of childhood or the real world of the adult. And that is the matriarchal world of the child is in make-believe. Anyone that's sort of like, oh, I'm in here, a bit spiritual egoism. Oh, this, whatever it is. And I'm not sure if I do this or whatever it is, a bit airy-fairy. And then the real world of the adult is too much structure. Too much structure, has to be this, has to be done this way, has to be that. Nope, we got to break them rules. I have to sacrifice that world of being cared for and provided for and be on my own. And now everyone else's structure and the way they do things is bullshit. I'm going to do it my own way. Let's go, right? The loneliness of Prometheus on the rock is the sacrifice to endure for having brought fire and redemption to mankind, right? So Prometheus essentially helped mankind. Zeus and Prometheus, and I think it was Athena, made men together, and they created these clay people, and the next minute men happened. And then what happened was Zeus said, never ever give them fire because then they have the power of the gods, and Prometheus stole fire from, what's his name? From the Forge Master. What's his name? Not Heraclitus, that's a philosopher. Oh man, I just on my head. Forge. Greek myth, Forge Master. Oh my God. Hephaestus. I was almost close. No, it started with a H, right? So Hephaestus, he stole the fire from Hephaestus' forge, gave it to mankind. Zeus was really angry, so he bound him to a rock on a mountain, and an eagle came every single day and ate his liver because he's immortal. He would come pick it out. Painful, right? So his sacrifice on the rock is to endure for having brought fire and redemption to mankind. So there's a loneliness part of that. The average individual has no soul of his own because the group and its canon of values, canon meaning group of values, tell him what he may or may not physically be able to do. The hero is one who can call his own soul his own because he has fought for it and what can be known here. So essentially what is meant by this is that the average individual has no soul because they can't think for themselves. Everything, every brain pattern that they have, everything that they say is just ripped from the news, ripped from social media, ripped from Facebook, ripped from their friends, ripped from their family. And it's like, well, do you really know? Or are you just repeating everything everyone else says? Because original thinking is actually quite difficult, right? So unless, that's why I like reading and I like philosophy and I like podcasts like this and you're listening to this, because this is what's making you more intelligent, because it's really questioning your own thoughts. Like, fuck, you know what I mean? If you're around people that are like, oh, why do I ever want to post content? Like, posting content looks like an idiot if you're in front of people. Like every time you do that, like you just look dumb. And then you start saying, oh, you look dumb if you're in front of people. And then the next people say, oh, you look dumb if you're in front of people. But then you really want to be a content creator and like use a personal brand or like connect with friends or meet other people out in the world, but you never will. And now you're stuck with everyone else. And now you're pissed off because you're mediocre like them. And because you're mediocre like them, you're going to bring everyone else down. Tall poppy syndrome. Hello. And it's going to keep you upset, pissed off and angry in a crate, right? And then when you want to get out, you're going to get so fucking scared. Your nervous system will be like, holy shit, because all these people are going to judge me and I don't even care about them, right? So this is part of the hero to get through this. And that is essentially you do not have a soul is what they're saying here, because the group in the Callan of values tell him what he may not or do physically, right? And this is like any action that you take. No soul. The hero is the one who can call his soul his own because he has fought for it and what can be known here. So essentially, to have your own soul, you've got to fight for it and you have to separate yourself from the crowd. Whatever the group is, you have to separate from your parents, from your loved ones, from your friends, from those on social media. And that's not to say to separate to be different from and never talk to people again. That's separating yourself as your own individual, as you're not them. I'm not like you. Shame occurs when the who you think is trying to convince everyone that the who you think you are is correct and fails, right? So what happens is if you're not convincing people, how to put this in words? When you don't give a shit, essentially, about shame or who people think you are because you're building yourself, that's when you can have friends. Because you can be individuals together and have your own opinion and not judge each other for not being different and mediocre. You can be on different levels. But as long as you are being the best you and focusing on you, that's how you can get there. And I think that can be shown by how comfortable you are on camera. That can be shown by what you create and if you're what you're comfortable to post and not post, and what are your boundaries around posting as well. And I believe that if you're making content that is inspiring, it's expressing your own opinion and you're fighting for what your right is and your own thoughts and beliefs and opinions, like good on you. Keep going. I think that's absolutely amazing. And what's going to happen if people say things or abuse you or whatever it is, you can keep going through that. If you like to get your opinion across, eventually people might jump on your side, or it's going to help you be able to get clearer on your thoughts and your opinions and views and think like, is this just my ego or is this just me, this opinion of mine? Because we have people come into our community and they'll do posts sometimes and it's just their own posts on if they're like a creator or whatever it is. And next minute someone's recreated their post and it's massive judgment on them. And they're like, fuck. And it's like, good highlight of the ego. You got served right there. So now you have to change your context. We've had people apologize publicly on social media for reels that they have created beforehand when they had more ego. So good. The hero ego stands between two worlds, one of the inner world that threatens to overwhelm him to the outer world that wants to liquidate him for breaking the old laws. Perfect. This is the last quote, right? This is the last quote. Greek myth has just been blowing their minds all day, right? So the hero ego stands between two worlds, the inner world, which is yours, which threatens to overwhelm him. So anytime we feel overwhelmed, panic, we're not doing enough, holy shit, I'm not making enough money, I need to be making more money, got to focus on this, my bank account's going down, my girlfriend doesn't like me as much as usual, shit, like my friends aren't there, oh my God, I got to do this thing, I got to perform for this person, blah, blah, blah. All the noise that's happening, right? That is the hero's ego stands between the worlds of the inner world, which threatens to overwhelm him. So that's one. And it's threatening to overwhelm him internally by feeling these emotions, to the outer world, which wants to liquidate him for breaking the old laws. And a lot of this comes through with shame. So if there is old laws, old belief systems, you can't build a business, you can't do this, whatever it is, the next minute you got to separate from your friends, but you don't want to and you feel overwhelmed about it because everyone's going to judge you. That is your inner world panicking and giving you overwhelm to let you know that the outer world is trying to liquidate you, but it's your responsibility to make sure that you get through that. Your inner world is a reflection of what's happening on the outer world, and most of the time, The outer world is wanting to liquidate you for breaking the laws. The groupthink of what everyone else is going through. It's nuts. Greek myth, philosophy talks so much. And when you guys really just understand this while we finish up, it talks so much about getting over comparison. It talks so much about what people are thinking and things people say and the attitudes that they have and the projections that they have and their body language towards you whenever you're going and chasing your goals. And it's your responsibility to overcome that and crush it. And I think the best way to do this is when you're free on social media to create what you want to create, or just content creating in general. When you're free to create that and express yourself, that is when you're at your best. And it's a good indicator to know that, like, I don't give a fuck. I am me, take it or leave it. And I am charging with this. I don't care what it is. I have my parents and friends have judged me for swearing on podcasts and saying things and whatever it is. And it's like, a part of it, I believe, is like, cool, if you want to become the best version of yourself, and there's some times where you want to show up professionally and noble, don't swear, right? Have control over your impulses. But if there's times there's passion and you feel like it's part of the process, like this podcast, yes, absolutely. Do what you need to do. Express, this is my podcast. This is my own, and I'm being 100% authentic on this. But on some forms of social media, like for me, I want to be portrayed as like someone who is, the noble part of myself on there. So I won't swear as much as what I swear on here. Every couple of reels or whatever it is, I'll chuck in a swear word, but I'll try to make sure that I don't as much, right? So it all just depends on, what you want to do. And that's how I want to show up. And I'm free to create that way, because that is who I want to create when I am doing those things. And I am here. And it feels incredible. And it feels like you're like, damn, this feels so good. So this is why Greek myth is so important to helping you create better content and becoming the best version of yourself. If you guys like this podcast, please give us a follow and share with a friend. And if you want to learn this and be held accountable and create amazing content and learn the systems and get over these blocks professionally, coached by someone, then come and join Set the Standard. As a podcast listener, you get 10% off. You just got to send me a DM on Instagram. So, how I'm a podcast listener, I want to join Set the Standard. Can I please have that 10% off? And I'll set you up and run you through the whole thing. Big love, guys. Speak soon.